How's it going, guys? How's it going?
Hey, welcome everyone to the It's a Raptors Ting podcast, episode 17. I know we've been
How's it going with
on
these guys?
quite the long hiatus, but a lot has happened, a lot has changed.
Yeah.
I recently had a child, so it's
Congratulations,
been
congratulations.
thanks. I've just been really busy, but I'm happy to be back here. As you can see on my end, I'm recording from the car. It's just a quieter space right now. So for the foreseeable future, those of you wondering why I'm not recording from my usual location, it's just because inside the house is kind of loud right now, So it's just best to come out here and do it. How are you, Jerome?
Doing alright, I'm doing good. I've been waiting a long time for this, but my patience just paid off, and we're back together making this channel. But as I said, family does come first, but good to see we're back doing this.
All
Look
right,
forward to this.
thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so we are right in the heat of things, both literally and figuratively. It is the summer of 2024, and
Yeah.
all roads lead to Paris, France for the Olympics. Uh,
Uh, two
where
weeks from
that,
now, I believe.
yep,
Sorry,
where that,
1 week from now.
true.
Yeah.
Where that intersects for us is Olympics, summer, and basketball. So let's get things started off here. Team Canada, just gonna ask you right out the gate, what do you think?
Well, it's the first time in 24 years that Canada's been there. I mean, let us think. In the last time Canada was there, RJ Barrett was a baby. He was a newborn baby, and his father was playing with Steve Nash at the Olympics. So that definitely tells you a lot right there of how long it's been. I mean, at that time, Vince Carter was playing for the Raptors, right? So, I
Yeah, that
mean,
that was
it's
that was the same. That was the same Olympic Games, the 2000 Olympics, where he dunked over a 7'2" center, Frederick
yes,
Weiss,
Frederick.
right? So
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
he was drafted by the Knicks actually, by the way, in the first round the year before.
Mm,
Always.
I see.
Yes, it's been long overdue for Canada to be there. I think their best chance before this was in 2015, that whole Venezuela controversy. Maybe they should have went through that year. I personally think that last minute foul call was a little iffy, but this year they did it. You know, they're here. They finished third last year. They beat USA in overtime thanks to Dylan Brooks' 39 points. This is a team, I will say, that now they're here is a legitimate contender for a medal, and could probably, if they have good enough chemistry, could probably even beat the USA. This is not a team that's coming in weak, with maybe a few college players, a few half decent European pros, and maybe one NBA player. That was kind of the case last time in 2000, where it was just like Steve Nash and like a bunch of guys who were decent, but not really NBA level. We have 10 NBA players now, and they're all playing, or at least starting regularly on their teams. We have two guys playing in Spain, which is pretty much the second strongest league in the world. One of those guys has
Hmm.
NBA experience, and Kemp Birch. So overall, this is a team that is definitely a strong contender to get a medal. Um, Based off talent, they're probably second best in the tournament, but there is going to be a lot of competition. They're in a very tough group with Australia, Greece, and Spain. Greece and Spain just managed to qualify recently,
Hmm.
beating Croatia and Bahamas respectively. Shout out to Bahamas, almost made it, but
Hmm.
just couldn't get there. It's a tough
Hmm.
group that they're going to get through. Australia's got Josh Giddey and a bunch of NBA players.
Hmm.
Greece is Giannis. Spain is the Eurobasket champions. We beat them last year in the World Cup, but they're always going to come back very strong. You know,
Hmm.
so overall, it's going to be a tough tournament for Canada. It's not going to be easy, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. but I think that they're gonna have to need SGA and Jamal Murray to show up. You know.
Yeah, absolutely, Jerome. I definitely agree with you there. You know, like the way how the foreground is for Team Canada coming out of Group A, the aforementioned group you mentioned. It's a tough group, you know. All of those respective teams are world-class teams at an international level
Oh
and
yeah,
have
top
been
10 in the world.
exactly,
Top
exactly,
10
and
in the
have
world
been
for me.
featured heavily in international competition.
Yeah.
Just looking at this roster here, you know, we have uh, quite a bit of Ontario representation. You know, you got R.J. Barrett, Nikhil Alexander Walker, Dylan
SGA,
Brooks,
Mississauga born,
SGA,
Hammer.
Jamal Murray, Andrew Nemhard, Dwight Powell. You know, and that isn't really all of the Ontario players, but those are like some of the most notable ones. All of those Ontario natives, you know, shout out to the Ontario natives. I gotta give a shout out to them. You know, we're all from the same province here, and
Yeah, totally.
you know, you're showing that strong level of basketball. But shout out to the other guys on the squad from BC, Saskatchewan, and Quebec, respectively. You know, we're all standing together as Canada. We're all
Oh
doing our
yeah, of
thing.
course. Yeah. Trey
I
Lyles, Kelly Olynyk.
ex Yeah, I think this roster rounds out really well in the sense that you know, the level of NBA talent, we have a talent level that I would compare to our best player is a superstar in SGA,
Oh yeah,
and
by far.
then we have a few who I would argue are like borderline all-stars at best, you
Hmm.
know, in Jamal Murray and RJ Barrett, and then you have your glue guys like Dylan Brooks and your role players like Lou Dort. So with all of that being said, the Canada roster, it might not be the most flashy roster. Yes, a lot of NBA talent on this roster, but at the same time, you know, as the younger generation says, you know, Team USA's aura is very strong, and Team Canada's aura is just kind of, you know, at face value, it's not really as strong. But one thing I think the Canadians, we have to really be optimistic about is just the fact that we got a lot of guys, especially our leaders, who really believe in grit and grind, you know? And I
Yeah, that
think in order for Canada to win at an international level, regardless of whatever medal you're thinking of, you're thinking if they upset and get a when I say upset, you know, it would be upset relative to, you know, because people think the Americans are going to win by default, right, given their team. But you know, whether Canada manages to beat the odds and get gold, if they happen to get silver or even bronze, regardless of whatever medal you're looking at, in order to get a medal, you're going to have to grind and hustle to make up for the fact that some of these other teams have a lot of star power, so, and the teams that don't have a lot of star power on an international level, they might have one or two NBA players, but on an international level, they have consistent exposure with running their systems and playing the international game and succeeding at the international game. So it's almost like, as much as it's an amazing accomplishment to have this much NBA, not just NBA talent, but bona fide NBA talent on a Team Canada roster, it's also like you can't let it get to your head. You got to make sure that you are doing what you need to do in order to secure the bag, in order to secure the victory, and that's what I'm looking to see. During the showcase, there was an exhibition about 2 days ago, as of the recording of this video, between Team Canada and Team USA, and the game, it started off pretty close, but after a while, like Team USA just kind of ran away with it,
Yeah,
and
I agree.
you know, I wouldn't get too worried. Like obviously, again, Team USA, they did their usual thing, but as a Team Canada fan, I wouldn't get too worried just because I don't really believe that game is indicative of the capabilities of this team, at the fullest extent. I think you're going to end up seeing a lot more from Team Canada as you get into the group stages, as you get into the quarterfinal, semifinal, et cetera, right? So, definitely a lot to be optimistic about for Team Canada basketball, and we're looking for at least a deep tournament run. Ideally, it would be nice if they got a medal, but I think most of us Canadians would at least like to see a deep, competitive, hard-fought tournament run.
Yes.
Yeah.
For me, I agree with everything you said. Um, this team definitely needs that grit and grind. They definitely do. As I said, the talent is there to win a medal, but they need that grit and grind if they want it. Dylan Brooks, he's got to show up. Last tournament, he was very good. The best defender in the tournament, period, no doubt. SGA needs to show up as well, too. He was very good tournament. Those guys have now proven they can show up at an international level, but I want to see how good Jamal Murray can do on an international level. We haven't really seen him. We didn't get to see him last year in the World Cup. He's still recovering from that ACL injury. It's good to at least see him this year, and thank God, he didn't go too far in the playoffs. So at least he's well rested, where at least he can get decent minutes per game. I'm interested to see how well he can do, but I think he can show up. But I think if he can, maybe even average maybe somewhere around 20 points a game, I think that Canada could definitely get a lot further than people think, where they could at least probably get to the gold medal game if they can avoid the USA in the quarterfinals or the semifinals. Hopefully.
Yeah. And
um,
to my knowledge, that hasn't really been like the quarterfinals. Like we don't know where we're gonna place in the
yeah,
quarterfinals yet, and semi like
yeah,
that part of they're being pretty ambiguous with that part of the bracket. So we won't know until we know, you know?
yeah. Mhm. One thing I will say, if Canada wants to have a good tournament run, what I saw last time in the World Cup was the team that scored the most points against Canada was the United States. They scored 118 points against them, although that was in overtime. In regular time, they had 111 points. That was the only team to score more than 100 points against Team Canada. So this is a very good defensive team. Most teams aren't getting more than 90. The only other team to get more than 90 against Canada was Serbia, and they finished second in the tournament. So my opinion is that Canada should at least make sure that the opponents don't get more than 25 points per quarter max. If they can hold that, well, I guess on like an average, you can say. I mean, it's not going to happen where there's going to be a couple off quarters, but if they can at least hold teams to under 90 points per game, considering their scoring average, especially now the fact that they have Jamal Murray on the team, they have a couple more. They have a Nebhard as well too. He wasn't there last time. I think that this team can go far, but I think it also depends on the defense too, because we've seen that they can keep teams under triple digits. If they can keep them under triple digits, under 90, better yet, under 85, that's definitely something they're going to want in the future for this tournament, and will lead them hopefully to Olympic glory, Olympic gold.
No, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, remember these guys held what was it? Held France to 65 points last time. That's pretty good right there. I mean, that's not anything. Yes, they did not have one Wembanyama, but it's still a very talented squad. They held them 65 points. They blew them out. It definitely shows that this team can be defensively strong and offensively strong too. But for me, they need to make sure they can hold teams to a low amount. If they can hold that, where they can hold teams to under 25 points or even under 20 points, considering the quarters aren't really as long for FIBA, it's only 10 minutes. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that will definitely help them get a lot further in the tournament than, or well, as far in the tournament as people expect and hope for.
Yeah, no, I understand. I get where you're coming from there. All right. So we're gonna switch gears a little bit and talk about USAB, Team USA Senior Men's Basketball. So what are some of your thoughts, man?
The Avengers, that's what I gotta say. I mean, they really got. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was Noah Lyles was talking about world champions or what, or I don't know if it was Dylan Brooks with him trash talking LeBron, and then he in the 2023 playoff, and he decided I'm gonna you know drop 39 against Canada, which I'm still surprised with, but yeah, I don't know what caused all these guys to get involved, but they're here. This isn't a roster you can get much better than this. LeBron James, Stephen Curry, and Kevin Durant. I mean, right there, if you put those three guys on South Sudan or Japan, I guarantee you they're at least making the semifinals. I mean, like that right there is enough to terrify a bunch of teams, and you have a bunch of guys there as well. Joel Embiid, Anthony Davis, Anthony Edwards, who I think probably could be the next NBA superstar.
Hmm.
Tyrese Halliburton, who I think can be was a very good assist maker. This is a
Hmm.
roster that is probably the strongest since 2012.
Hmm.
It's a good roster. Um, Good roster, definitely. That it's a team that I think a lot of people should be very afraid of, and is going to come in very strong. These are guys that can easily probably get over 25 points per game max, or sorry, minimum. I mean, talent wise, no doubt they would easily sweep anyone. Put any of those players on any other team, they could probably start. For me, once again, I think chemistry is going to be an issue. Experience, we don't have to worry about. Kevin Durant and LeBron, they've been here many times. Stephen Curry's been to the World Championships. Anthony Edwards was on that team last year that finished fourth. Jason Tatum, he was at the last Olympics along with Bam Adebayo and Kevin Durant. This is a team that has good experience, but I think they just need to get good chemistry going on. I'm happy that they are playing exhibitions. Um, Personally, I think for them, they should have played maybe a few more at the beginning of July just to kind of get that chemistry more, I guess, a little more cohesive. But we'll see what happens when this team gets involved in the Olympics and how well they play. I think they should be. It should definitely be a lock for gold. Maybe if the chemistry is good. If it's not, then we'll see what happens. But I think right now they definitely are the very big favorites for gold. Definitely.
All right, man. I understand where you're coming from.
One thing I will point out, though, I know that Kawhi Leonard isn't playing for them. Um, I don't understand why you don't bring Jalen Brown. You know, or even someone like a young talent like Paulo Banchero. He was at the World Cup last year. He had a very good playoffs and a very good year. Or even Scotty Barnes. Like Derek White is good. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know why you don't bring Jalen Brown. It doesn't like there has to be some sort of bias. I've heard a rumor with Nike or Puma or something like that. I don't know, but for me personally, you got to bring Jalen Brown on that. He is very similar to Kawhi Leonard. I don't know if maybe they wanted an extra guard or something, but for me personally, I think they should have brought Jalen Brown on that roster to replace Kawhi Leonard. I'm just going.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was literally just about to bring that up. It's one of those ones where, you lose, at best you lose an elite two-way, or not just an elite, but the elite two-way player in Kawhi Leonard. And then you have the 2.0 version of the two-way player who
Yeah,
is fresh off of NBA Finals MVP.
exactly.
Shout out to the Boston Celtics, by the way, for
Good
winning
shout.
the 2024 NBA championship. We'll have more videos about how the NBA season panned out, coming soon. But right now we're really just zoning in on the Olympics right quick. And I'm just gonna say, with regards to the whole Jaylen Brown situation, not gonna lie, like I was actually quite shocked because the usual argument is Team USA, if you really look at their rosters, they usually, like historically, they usually have like maybe one or two players who are a significant set of tiers down relative to the main cast of guys. It's not completely unusual,
Yeah,
but it just kind of seems antithetical to the current vibe. Y'all are claiming to put together this squad of Avengers, and you still have like an A-list hero available for your squad, and you randomly go for the C-list guy, and it's just like at the end of the day, you know, I'm not saying Derek White won't perform well. I think ultimately he will do his role player duties. Like I genuinely believe that he'll more or less do what is asked of him to do. So it's not my problem isn't so much with like him doing what he's supposed to do. It just doesn't really seem um like there is to your point earlier, it doesn't seem like there's an unbiased assessment of talent in relation to who's getting selected for these teams, because you have a void. You lost one of the all-time greats for at least for this generation of players, or you could say the 2010s generation of players. You
yeah,
lost one of
definitely.
that, and then you have the opportunity to replace that with this generation's version of that in Jaylen Brown, and you guys just choose not to do it. Like I don't really, I don't really see where or why like that's happening, but it's a thing, right? So I don't know what else to really make of it, and it's quite puzzling. That being said, though, as controversial as the Derek White signing was, there's a whole another controversy with Joel Embiid. Uh, uh,
Oh, that
yeah,
French.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, I've heard about that.
yeah. So, I'm just a quick context. Again, we're not the Encyclopedia Britannica here, but generally speaking, for international and Olympic uh, competitions, France has a tendency to allow people from their former like colonies to repatriate and play for their Olympic team.
Yeah,
And Cameroon, and again, if I hope I have my history correct. If I don't, please feel free to correct me in the comment section. But I do believe Cameroon was a French-speaking colony at one point.
yes, it
So
was.
Joel Embiid,
Correct.
he is Cameroonian, and in terms of if you're talking about his actual like lineage and his nationality and everything like that. But at the same time, for the longest time, Joel Embiid has been campaigning to be a part of the French Olympic team, right?
Yeah,
And the French,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. You can chime in on this one. I'll let you.
Yeah, he's been chiming in from like 2014. He was cheering them on,
Mhm.
And Nicolas Batum was like, "Yeah, bring him on." Several French players didn't really want him at first, like Fournier,
Mm-hmm.
Gobert, but now they were more open to it.
Yeah.
And then last year, I guess there was like some pressure put on by the French. I think by the French president or the general manager. I don't remember which one. The general manager is Boris Diaw. He used to play in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember who did it exactly, but they put, I guess, like a pressure, too much pressure on to for him to make a decision. And on Grant Hill's birthday, Grant Hill is, I think, the president of USA, if I'm correct.
Yeah, it's USA basketball. Yeah, I did
Yeah, or
see
head
him
of
in a press
operations or
conference.
something.
Yeah, yeah.
He on his birthday in early October last year, Joel Embiid agreed to commit to the US Olympic team this year because he wasn't cap tied to the French team at all. He wasn't cap tied to anyone, so he ended up going for America. And I think, in all honesty, as much as a lot of people can hate on what happened, if you really look at it, Joel Embiid's actually been in USA since he was what, like, I think 16, since he was back in high school, and was he, what, almost 30 years old now or something? He's been there, I think, for what, 12, 13 years or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you actually really look at it, he spent a good amount of his life, almost half of his life, in America.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so for him to actually like represent America, it does make a lot more sense than him represent France or, well, maybe not as much represent Cameroon, but it makes sense for him to represent USA because
Mm-hmm.
he's pretty much been, his basketball career um has taken off in America. He started playing basketball
Mm-hmm.
in Cameroon, and then he pretty much, after that, he just went to America, and that's where everything went off. He went to high school in America, he went to college in America, and he played NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Everything in America. So it does
Yeah.
make sense for him to represent America, I believe. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I know that Cameroon, apparently they were at that Olympic qualifying tournament, but they lost to, I think it was Latvia or something. I heard they were doing decent. They actually beat Brazil though, from what I heard. So
Mm-hmm.
they could have had Siakam too, and I think there was another. I think Koloko as well too for the Raptors.
Mm-hmm.
So if
Mm-hmm.
they managed to get everyone there for the World Cup, or sorry, for this tournament, who's not to say if they probably could have qualified for the Olympics, and Embiid could have been representing his home country, right? But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, every FIBA team is allowed one naturalized player, so I think it's definitely good for the Americans. They definitely need a center, and they got it. They got one of the best centers in the world, and
Mm-hmm.
it's going to make them a lot stronger, a lot tougher to beat.
Absolutely. I totally agree. You know, the center position
And
was
one thing, and one thing as well, Embiid, he's not going to avoid Nikola Jokic this time.
no, no, I don't
Can't
think
hide.
so either. Yeah. Well, and finally, we're just gonna switch gears here a little bit and just talk about tournament predictions. So, going back to the group stage, in Group A, we have Australia, Greece, Canada, and Spain. I believe it's two teams per group that come out of each group, the top two.
Yes.
Yeah. So, out of Group A, what are your predictions? Who do you think is going to come out of Group A?
Oh, it's the group of death. It's going to be hard to say who can come out. If you look at the situation, Australia, they didn't really have a great tournament last time,
Hmm.
a great FIBA World Cup. I know that Patty Mills hasn't been doing as well recently. Josh Giddey just didn't play as well this season for certain reasons.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
not going to. Greece is definitely coming off looking really, really good at that Olympic qualifying tournament. I mean, in the game against Dominican Republic, Giannis had 33 points in 18 minutes. I mean, that is very scary to look at. Canada we've already reviewed, and Spain. They looked okay against Bahamas, but I think they could have been maybe a little bit better. I definitely think they're missing a lot of star power. They're not. It's not the team of the 2010s that could really was on top. Like people think that they're ranked second right now, but in truth, they're probably about maybe about like sixth or seventh. I think they're a bit too high necessarily. I don't think
Hmm.
they're really high up there. It's a hard group to say. For me, I would probably go Canada and Greece just because I think Giannis can show up and do pretty well at this stage. For third, I'm gonna say Australia, but I'm not sure who's gonna be group winner. Like, I think there's a good chance that maybe like Canada could get Canada could finish in fourth, right? Like any of these teams could finish in first,
Hmm.
any of these teams could finish in fourth. It's very hard to tell. It's a very competitive group. I'm hoping that Canada can pull it off. Canada did beat Spain last year, so that's probably a good sign.
Hmm.
I think eight of their players are back from last year, so that's good for chemistry. Um, I think Canada has a good chance to top this
Hmm.
group, but Spain has good experience. Australia and Greece have very talented rosters,
Yeah.
but I think that Greece and Canada may be able to pull it off. Maybe just by a little bit.
True.
But the
True.
best player though is Giannis, so I think he's probably going to find a way, maybe to at least finish top three, along with SGA being second best. I think those three probably won't finish in last. I think maybe Spain may kind of get edged out a little bit, maybe finish in fourth.
Hmm. Yeah. Very true. Very true.
I might
I
have been
think
talking about
in
that.
terms of group.
Sorry, I might have been talking about that a bit too long, but it's really hard to predict. Really, really tough, honestly.
No, no, that's understandable. Um, my predictions out of Group A would be I'm gonna go with Canada and Greece, and then I'm gonna go with Canada like coming out at the top.
Okay,
For Group B, there's France, Germany, Japan, and Brazil.
okay.
Um, I'm gonna go with France and Germany's very nice too in the sense that for what it's worth, they did win the FIBA World Cup, right? So,
Yes.
um, yeah.
For me personally, I think France and Germany will make it out of that group. But I'm going to say right now it's going to be 50-50 and say that the final match between France and Germany is probably going to determine the group winner. I think Brazil will probably finish in third. I think Japan's going to finish in fourth. They're good, but they just don't have the talent. Hashimura is a good player, but the players
Hmm.
around him, it's just not enough to make a statement in this tournament. I think it's going to be between France and Germany for first.
Hmm.
France has definitely the home advantage, but I don't think we can rule Germany out. These guys are the reigning Eurobasket, world champions. They finished third in Eurobasket in 2022.
Hmm.
Canadian-born coach Gordon Herbert. It's a tough one, but it's going to come down between France and Germany. But I think those two should finish top two.
True.
Either one can be group winner for me. 50-50, I say.
Yeah. No, you definitely got a strong point. I
Yeah.
agree with you there. Um, and finally, we have Group C.
Yes.
Group C. There is Serbia, uh, Puerto Rico, and USA and South Sudan.
South
So I
Sudan will
believe,
make
yeah,
their tournament
yeah,
debut.
yeah, yeah,
Congratulations to them.
yeah. Oh, no, that's good. Congratulations.
Yeah.
So who do you have coming out uh on top there?
For me, probably the USA is going to finish in first.
Mm-hmm.
That one's a little more, well, I shouldn't say set in stone, but a little more obvious, probably. I'm gonna
Yeah.
say I'm gonna say Serbia because they have Nikola Jokic. Yo, Yo,
hmm
got his name wrong. The Joker.
Yeah,
Um,
Nikola
they
Jokic. Yeah.
yeah, they should finish in second. There's a small chance they finish in first. I'm gonna say there's maybe like a I'm gonna say 30% chance. Sorry, 25% chance they finish in first, but I think they should finish in
Mhm.
second. South Sudan and Puerto Rico, they faced each other in the World Cup last year, and Puerto Rico just managed to pull it off. This is a roster. I don't know too much about South Sudan. I know that they've got a few players on their preliminary roster that are like NBA based though, and
Mhm.
like mostly Australian based, like the NBL.
Mhm.
So they definitely got
Mm.
some talent. Yeah, they definitely got some talent coming through.
Mhm.
Um, one player named. Have you ever heard of Bol Bol?
Yeah, I've heard of
Yeah,
Bobo.
he's on that preliminary roster. I thought a few years ago that he could become a really big all star. He's the son of Manute Bol, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I get the feeling that he's a bit of a sleeper. If he can make that tournament, he could probably make that statement. Because as I said, even fringe NBA players they can score a lot of points in the Olympics. You can't rule it out. Even guys like if Dylan Brooks can score 39, a guy like Bol Bol could probably pull maybe
Or
20.
even back in the during the FIBA World Cup, former Raptor Rondé Hollis Jefferson.
Yeah, yeah, balled out.
I believe he did that for Jordan, like
Yeah,
the country Jordan. Yeah, even he was balling out. So I get what you're saying.
yeah,
It can definitely happen that way.
yeah. The thing is, though, Puerto Rico do have Jose Alvarado, very good guards from the New
hmm
Orleans Pelicans. I think that game between South Sudan and Puerto Rico will probably determine who finishes in third and have a chance to make the quarterfinals. Right
hmm
now, I'm gonna say Puerto Rico do have the advantage and probably will finish in third, but I'm not gonna rule South Sudan out if
hmm
they can get a roster that's really talented and really chemistry strong, with a strong chemistry. That's what I meant to say.
hmm
So I think
Yeah,
third, probably Puerto Rico, but we'll see what happens. I'm not going to rule South Sudan out. They definitely have some sleepers on that roster.
yeah, yeah. Most definitely. Anything to add?
Um, for me, I think USA, Canada, and Serbia will probably have the best chances to end up on the podium. Um, France, I think, also has a very good chance. I think Serbia, the reason why they have the best chance to reach the podium is because now they have Nikola Jokic.
hmm
Um, I thought they were a very good European team last time. I'm actually a little stunned Germany got the win. They
hmm
mostly have the same roster. They don't really have anyone too much like too much really added on like a superstar. I heard apparently Austin Reeves could have played for them, but I think he kind of backed out or something. That would have been, I think, really good for them for this tournament. Um, I think for me, the three teams that right now have the best chance to medal are USA, Canada, and Serbia. Probably will right now have the best chance to end up on the podium. I think France and Germany definitely have very good resumes to make it, along with Australia, Greece, and Spain. Maybe a little more outside contenders considering their recent history. They've been a little bit. They looked a little shaky in the last World Cup. Um, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But I think right now, my prediction will be USA first. Sorry, Canada first, USA second, and Serbia third. With I'm gonna say France probably in fourth.
Yeah. All right. I think my prediction would be USA winning it. Can
Yeah.
can Canada perhaps placing second, and then France placing third. Those
Okay,
are those
I
are those are
respect
my
that. Yeah.
predictions there. With
Yeah.
all right, well, it's been real. Thank you so much to all of our supporters out there who've been watching and supporting our channel even through
Thank you guys.
our our hiatus. You know, we really appreciate it, and we're happy to be back.
Delighted.
Ready to engage in these powerful conversations. You know, pertaining to the discourse of international basketball, and Team Canada basketball, Team USA basketball. You know, I'm really just looking forward to the summer. You know, our eyes are going to be glued to the TV to see who comes out on top in this particular tournament. That being said, thanks again so much. Sayin, it's a Raptors Ting, eh?
Yes, sir.
Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the videos.
Guys, like, subscribe, watch this tournament because it's going to be very competitive. This is probably going to be the best Olympic tournament in history. Very competitive. Every team is going to have an NBA player on